On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk, in the Victim Olympics, complaining about how because she's a woman and she can't get nothing done and empowered. This is exactly why women shouldn't be in leadership positions in these type of positions.
So then
go ahead,
so
Real.
do
I'm
you
gonna
think
stop out.
that? So if women shouldn't be in leadership positions, then we should have no policies that dictate women's bodies and women's livelihood. How are there not going to be any women in the room, but you're making rules and policy for women and or women's bodies, women's choices and what they want to do with their bodies? You have men making decisions about women's bodies or women's reproductive systems, and there's no women in the room. So to say that no women should be in leadership anywhere, it doesn't really make sense to me. Even like when you said earlier, oh, no women should be in the Army. You know, the Army got like attorneys, the Army has doctors, the Army has nurses, the Army is just America that does a specific thing, but there's still people that are necessary for all types of jobs.
You got to really be on the dude's program, regardless of whether or not you agree with his politics or whatever. You got to be on a certain dude's program to give up everything to move up under his to subject yourself to him. Real talk.
Anton and Trill, I love what y'all just said. I think it's absolutely correct. So how do you feel when people say something like, I don't understand women who are only submissive to certain men or women who only blah, blah, blah with certain men? Like, that's a popular argument. They're like, if you don't do it for everybody, you're not that. How do you feel about that? Because y'all just highlighted that you can clearly be some type of way in one instance, but then not that way with your man.
Right. I would say I think the argument is in terms of femininity, not necessarily submissive or following. I think a woman should remain in her femininity regardless, because that should be just who you are. It shouldn't be conditional. Just like a man.
Obama was very feminine when she was like practicing law and like doing these things. Like,
well, I'm not sure what she was. I don't really know her. But
who brought up?
Oh, I brought her up. Okay, I brought her up. Trill didn't. I did.
All right.
My bad, Trill.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But essentially what I'm saying is that a woman should remain in her femininity regardless, just like a man should remain in his masculinity regardless. Like, our masculinity can't be conditional. Okay, if I run into a woman that's willing to bow to me, then I'll be masculine. But if I don't, I'm gonna be feminine. I'm a cave. Nah, it should be, be who you are. But in terms of who you follow, I think that's where it gets a bit different. And that's where the submission thing falls into place. If I run into a dude, again, who's a man, he's solid all the way around, good job, provides, protects, does all of that, has a structure, has a program, has a plan for this family in terms of how it's going to run. Like most women, I feel like regardless of how strong they are, regardless of even Michelle Obama, she was a lawyer and killing shit as far as accomplishments in career. But she ran into that dude that had that solid structure and was a grown-ass man, and she bought into his program. So that's how I feel about that.
Indeed. Wait, before we derail any further, because I know Kayla hasn't gone yet. So Kayla, I just wanted to get your take, same as everybody else. And you sounded like you had a question too. You're on mute though.
Well, no, I mean, Kay kind of went into my question when we're talking about like Michelle and Barack, right? But as far as your original question, it's really hard to say because we speak about like this tradition. We speak about different periods, right? We speak about different time periods all the time. And it's like, I understand the different things that were happening in different time periods, but it's 2021 and things are a particular way now. So I think when we talk about like the modern and traditional, it's kind of funny because we live in a modern world. So even the women that think they're traditional, they're not traditional. Like traditional women won't even be in roundtables with men, having debates with men. Like if we really want to get down to the time period of traditional women, we live in a modern time period. So most women are modern, even the ones that stay at home still have modern qualities about them in terms of having their own thought process, being able to make their own choices about what they think or their political stance or whatever it is. So in terms of the curse, we have a major curse in the Black community, not just women, but in general, the Black community, when it comes to toxic relationships, absent fathers, toxic feminine relationships, you know, the whole fighting, you know, when you catch a man cheating, you're fighting another woman when you should be mad at him. I don't know what that is between women, like that whole thing where women are tearing each other down instead of building each other up. And then you said the myth. I mean, I don't really know about the myth. And then what was the last part? The last part was
myth, mystery, and curse.
Myth, mystery. I think that the biggest mystery is where are we going to end up now that these times have changed? Like I said, traditional women still aren't really traditional. They're modern with maybe traditional aspects of their life. But the mystery to me is, where are women going to be, I don't know, 25 years from now that we have we have our first female VP. We have all these things happening, all these things changing. I attended the Women in Tesla meeting, and all these women are running half a Tesla, and women that are in NFTs and in the metaverse and all these things. So the mystery to me is that how are relationships going to be conducted as we move forward with how involved women are in the everyday livelihood of our country. And, what is that going to look like? I'm hoping that looks like equity for women. I don't know about the whole equality. For me, I want equity. I'm not worried about equality. But I think that a lot of women really want that. So the question is how, where are we going to go with it? Where is it going to go? What's going to happen?
All right, real, and let me just throw this in there, and then you can rock. I don't think that women should be in leadership positions when it comes to politics, and Kamala Harris could quite possibly be the worst vice president of all time. I think she's the perfect example of why women should not be in those roles. Horrible. Running in the Victim Olympics, complaining about how because she's a woman and she can't get nothing done and empowered. This is exactly why women shouldn't be in leadership positions in these type of positions.
So then
go ahead, real.
Do you think that? So if women shouldn't be in leadership positions, then we should have no policies that dictate women's bodies and women's livelihood. How are there not going to be any women in the room, but you're making rules and policy for women or women's bodies, women's choices and what they want to do with their bodies? You have men making decisions about women's bodies or women's reproductive systems, and there's no women in the room. So to say that no women should be in leadership anywhere, it doesn't really make sense to me. Even like when you said earlier, oh, no women should be in the Army. The Army got like attorneys. The Army has doctors. The Army has nurses. The Army is just America that does a specific thing. But there's still people that are necessary for all types of jobs